Hello and welcome guys. Today we're gonna do a little special tutorial while I'm building new security stuff. I figured I'm gonna do some PHP stuff here on YouTube for you guys. So basically I just installed my unregistered Sublime text editor, which I'm going to use for my editor for writing PHP. So basically I'm just gonna write something here, PHP, right? And I installed WAMP. It's a Windows bundle that consists of Apache, MySQL, and PHP as different tools. As you see, I have a PHP installed on my other browser here. I have my web root installed, and what we're seeing here is my web root is pretty empty, just localhost, and we are seeing the location here where I can create files. So basically I could right click here and create my very first file. I could call it hello.php, and if I then pulled in my index, you can see the PHP file here, hello.php, and I can click it, and then the server is going to execute whatever code is inside that file. On my Sublime text, you can also see that the hello.php is now present, and I can close the other one here, and I can now write stuff inside of here like hello world, and I can go back to this part and you can see that I have hello world as my text. Alright, so this is basically what I've done so far. I only installed WAMP, only installed the editor. This is just a beginner's tutorial guide for PHP web development, and I'm basically gonna talk about, you know, what is good and how you can do easy web pages using PHP. And while I do that, I will, of course, whenever there's something about input or user input or database stuff, you know, I will, of course, talk about the security complications of it and give you my take on how to secure it using the newest tools that are available to us. So without further ado, let's get started and write the first line of code. So basically you see this is my web root. I'm not really going to look at this too much. I'm going to do all my work in Sublime text. This is also where I'm going to right click, new file, open folder, and so on. So it was just to show you that when you install the WAMP, I chose to install it just in the default location in my C drive in Windows machine on WAMP64, and you know, I'm in the library or the www folder, library, whatever, and this is where our web root is. So basically I'm going to go back here to our code, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in the let me just see where I have it. Did I close it? I did. I'm going to pull in the localhost window every time I have something. So let's go ahead and create our very first file. I'm going to delete this file here called hello, delete file. I'm going to create our first file, and usually going to create something called index. Let's just write something hello and save index.php, and there we have it. If we go back to the overall web page here, we can see that we have hello. I'm going to zoom in to 250. Oh, that's a bit much, but let me just say 125%. Let's just say 100% because my other window is also zooming, so that's quite annoying. So this is the web page. We have hello. If we right click and say this is what kind of, we'll see, this is the Microsoft Edge win. So let's just see view page source. We can see that there's nothing inside here. It's only like the raw line. So we have no HTML, we have no PHP code or anything. Now I believe it's a very common thing to do a slight tad of designing while showing a new programming language. So what I'm going to do now is basically go to a web page here. I'm going to go to Bootstrap 5 and then go to themes. Now start Bootstrap, and then let's do a theme. Well, I think let's just do something pretty easy without, you know, dinosaurs are extinct. Alright, I see. Something easy. Let's take this side here. It's Clarence Taylor. Can we view the source code, please? And okay, so we need to do a lot of stuff here. Okay, I see. Sources. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff, and Okay, so this is the actual file, I think it is. Okay, this is a lot actually. Let's start up with a little more easy. Start Bootstrap. I just wanted to get the, let me just say Bootstrap. Bootstrap. HTML, CSS, something like that. Yeah. Take the very first URL. Okay, there we go. Purple, so get started, and then let's do, there is something starter template. I'm gonna copy paste this. I'm basically just gonna paste it inside my file here, and then we can go and update it, and we see that there is some style now being introduced to my web page. Bootstrap is essentially just, you know, a standardized way to create web pages using a lot of rules that are gonna help us making responsive web pages, and a lot of, you know, JavaScript that's gonna help us have the right, I don't know how to explain it, but it's quite easy to create new web pages with new designs. Everything is standardized. So if you want to do, like, let's say layout stuff, and you want some columns, for example, like this, we could copy paste the code right here and say we have the container, and the container itself should be inside of the body. And let me see, they show us different options, so choose one of the two. I'm gonna stick to option 1 and then delete that, and basically I'm gonna put the HTML in here that I just copy pasted, which is the container. And let's see if we can, there we go. And then I'm gonna go back to the actual, let me just see, there we go, and update the page. And now we see we have some columns. Now it's gonna be quite difficult to see where they are because there's no drawn, you know, lines and stuff like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete this hello world here. So I'm going back to the raw web page here. What you can already see now with this is, now when I resize this browser, you can see that it hops around, so it already now it fits for different kind of designs. This is called a adaptive design, because when you have responsive web pages, they respond to the width, but they do not adapt to the width. So a responsive web page could basically be a web page that is 1024 pixels wide, and then you can make it wider and less wide in the browser, and it will try to squeeze the content together. At some point it will be squeezed so much that it just overlap each other, and this is where you need adaptive web pages, where the adaptive web page, if you look at this, it kind of like ticks when I resize the window. Look at this, and it should be any moment now. There you go. You can see that? Boom. It kind of jumps a bit. And it does that on several occasions. There you go. One more. So it's realigning. So at some point it would be so small that you can say it fits a, I think there is a, what is that? Open Developer Tools. Yes. And then you can choose toggle device emulation, and you can basically use it on an iPhone. You can say this is my iPhone, and you get the small dot, which is supposed to be your finger. So there are lots of tools on browsers to test your web page for, you know, devices that's gonna be interesting. An iPad Air can look like this, and you notice that, you know, the text is gonna be, so it's gonna be kind of okay on an iPhone, but on the iPhone XR it's gonna be smaller. iPhone Pro is fine, I guess. The Pixel fine, okay, and the iPad, because it's gonna be small. There are some ways you can well, it's called a viewport, right? So the viewport is, I'm not sure if it's with us here. It is with us here. So there is a meta tag here called viewport. I don't know if we can. Let's just try and remove it, the viewport, and then let's refresh the page. And what you see is that, you know, it kind of doesn't look the same anymore, right? It looks weird. When I put the viewport back like that, and refresh the page, you can see it kind of fits the page better. So Bootstrap actually got most of it for you already made, so you don't have to spend a lot of time on all this HTML. And I would say I did a lot of HTML and CSS and JavaScript in the years of 1998 to around a bit up to 2000 and, you know, a long time, you know, 2014 I think, so it's many years. And I tried to develop web pages into all kind of browsers. I worked for professional companies developing web pages for all kind of browsers, and I was in the whole browser war era, you know, Internet Explorer versus Firefox versus Chrome versus Opera versus all the different kind of browsers you can get, and they all support a different amount of HTML and CSS, and what is it, like a nonsense. It took ages. So please use Bootstrap, something like that, because don't spend time, you know, writing all the essential stuff anymore. Anyways, everything is here. We have the CSS, the basic rules with the viewport. We have the required meta tags, which is really good. This is not a video where I'm gonna, you know, introduce everything about HTML, but I'm gonna do a little more than just PHP. So let's stick to this design here, and let's go back to the web page and just say we're gonna choose the normal screen size and use this as a normal web page. What we kind of need to have is some sort of header or something, and I think, what did they call that? Something special. It was like a what was it called? So let me just see if we can find it one more time. Yeah, looks pretty nice. So see, what's a way to create some sort of, you know, header for the web page? It's gonna be on the top always. Let me see if we can find it. Yeah, so I think the name of it is a Navbar, something like that, navigation bar. Let me just see if I can. If there's something, let's also try to try and learn to use this menu here, because it's quite a while since I used this. Layouts. Got us. Simple forms. I think it's a navbar, to be honest. Let's just see. Yeah, there's a navbar, yes. So navbar is, let me just see. Yeah. Okay, so let's just try this here. So let's take this. It's called as our heading, and let's put this on top here. So we have a, and it's just HTML. So it's like copy paste and see what you get. And let's go back, and yeah, we got it now. So we have a navbar, and it would seem that it's gonna stay on the top always. I'm just trying to zoom in this. Yes, it's fine. So let's just see what we can do with the navbar. I think, could we just write center? Let's just try. No, it's not the way to do it. Let's go back to Bootstrap and say, how do we do that? Image. I think, yeah, it's a thing, you know, that how you center stuff inside of a navbar. Can you do that? Center. Oh, I can do a container. So put inside of a container. Let me just try to do that, just for sample wise. Did I copy paste it? I did not copy paste it. Let's try one more time. There we go. So let's just try. Oh yeah, there we go. So now we got like a part of the web page. This is also what I wanted. So now we have a beginner's web page. Now, do we want the 3 columns? You know, I'm not sure we want that. So let's just go back and say layout, grid, columns, containers. Yeah. This is what we initially, this is not what we want. This is specifically not what we want like that, you know. We probably would like something like 3 boxes. I think that should be sufficient for a small web page here. So let's just remove this and make it a bit more simple. So now we have different containers. You know, we could probably merge them together, but you know, I had plenty of conversation with different kind of designers, and they're all like, "Oh, it's so important that you can save a line of code." It's like, no, please, this is just HTML, and I think as so many years of being in the business, I dare to say that don't listen to all these front-end designers all the time, because this is not an art, okay? This is just basically a markup of how some lines should be aligned to each other, and if it's easy for you to have your overview of this compared to something that you need to, you know, fetch together in a certain way, you know, stick with the way that works for you, because it's not really gonna significantly speed up anything. It's not gonna do nothing for you. This is our web page, and I think we're gonna make sure that the title of this is gonna be web page example PHP stuff, and we're gonna be happy people. All right. So this is our web page. This is our logo, and it got some icon up here. I don't know which kind of icon it got. It got like the it's called a fav icon, fav.ico. It's a fav icon. It's very small. I think it's like 25 times 25 in pixels, so it fits this small area here. So since it's WAMP, it's going to take the fav icon of WAMP here, but we can place any icon basically if you want to do that. It's just, you know, doesn't really matter. Anyways, let's start writing some PHP code, and let's create another page you can shift to. So what we're going to do is, when we create a new page, we want to make this as our template so we have the same page. But what you could do is make sure that if the navbar is containing links, so you're going to take this and say like link 1, and you can say this is link number 2, go back to how it looks, then you have link 1 there and link 2 there. It's gonna be, well, weird. So I'm not suggesting you do that. I suggest that you go ahead and do some links. You know, you can either try and find something here on get Bootstrap. I think let me just see, maybe menu items. Yeah, I guess we could use that in a way. Smart button, larger buttons, kind of different buttons with different colors. That's, at the moment, it's not what we want, but we could try. And there's something here, you know, links. we could for example take this here, or this kind of you know, menu, and basically use it as our navigation for, you know, we could also use something like that, you know. Not really sure what you want, you know. It's also just a test. I think this looks fine. Let's just take this, you know, and we're gonna stick it in like right there, and basically just don't mind too much and say boom. Where did it go? It seems like I deleted something, didn't I? What did I do? See, it just seems like it doesn't really work. And why is that? It should work. This is easy. What did I miss? Did I miss something in the top that I should have? File something? if I take this for example and just put that in instead, does it actually create one button with an action on? Oh wait a second, it's a drop down, so this is oh, this is a drop down menu. You need to have it drop down somehow. Okay, so this is what I failed to do. Let me just see, what did I... Yeah. Is it this? Is this fine? You know, we're just basically trying stuff right now to get our links. No? That didn't work either. That's pretty weird. What did I forget? Maybe I'm just trying to do too much right now. Let me just take this for example. Does that work? Yeah, we're gonna stick with this. So it's gonna be the third. So the third one is gonna be the left. So we're gonna take this one here and make the third our link structure for the web page. We could do that. So this is where we have our link. So instead of calling it right aligned menu, we're gonna call it open web page links. You know, I know this isn't the best name, but we can use this, and it at the moment it's gonna point on a button type. Not really gonna point to anything. So we either need to write some JavaScript, or can we do a href on this and do like something? I'll just try. No, not gonna work. So we need to somehow put a link in here. So could we just do a normal link inside of this action here and call it test? This is something we could do, and you see it kind of makes the text look weird. So let's go back and see if we can find, you know, a different link way to make links. I don't want to make any JavaScript, I must be honest. I'm not really for that. So it's called a drop down menu. This is with real links. So let's take this. Let me just see, BTN group. So let's take this right here and paste that in. Let me see if this works. And now we have real links. Really good. So this is just as easy as it goes, basically. And we can say that we're gonna shift the page to about.php, and we have our contact.php. And we have another page here called, let me just say, tagboard.php. You know, it's some old names that gonna be explained at some point. So yeah, so we're gonna give them names. So the very first here called about, and then we're gonna do contact, and let's do tagboard. A tagboard is essentially just a way to give some input to the user, and to share with users, and that's it. So now that we created this menu, we can go ahead and you know, create the other pages we need, like the about, the contact, and the tagboard. So what we're gonna do is divide our page. We could either just copy paste everything like this and put it inside the other files, and then change the web page title. Or we can say that this part here is gonna be on every web page. We're gonna call that a header, and we're gonna put what is down here something as a footer. And I think we should do that. So we're gonna right click here and say open a new folder. We're gonna call it includes, and inside that folder we're gonna create a file called header.php, and we're gonna create a new file called footer.php. Now this is of course, you know, you can call it an old school approach, but we have no framework. You know, I don't think we need a framework. So what we're gonna do here is say all of this here is basically going into the header, and we're gonna say that all of this here is basically going to our footer. And then we can do here in the top, we can say PHP, just like this. Not that. And then say include, what is it like? Is it called once? I think it is. And say include header.php. And then we can do the same in the bottom here for footer.php. And we can go back to the web page and see that everything is just as it was before. If I don't have the very first one here just to prove my point, you can see that everything doesn't work. So this is including the different header and footer from the include folder now. So what we're gonna do now is basically say this is the index page, and the index page is we could further divide this into, you know, other includes, and this is what a framework would probably do, is say that this section, and this section is the three different sections, and then you can create another folder here called sections, and then you can include those depending on which kind of configuration you're gonna give it up in the top, for example, and you say like this is a web page, and you order that as the index file, which is gonna include different kind of, you know, documents from different kind of places on the application, which is then eventually being rendered as a full web page. But I'm gonna make this a bit more easy and say we're just gonna copy paste from the index file now and use that as not, you know, as our template. And I'm gonna close down the include folder here and create a new file. It's gonna be about, so we're gonna create the about.php file, and we're gonna take all the content that is our index file and put it into the about file. Now, when you go back to the web page now, I'm gonna do like this and update it and go to the about, you will notice that we do change to the about page, but there is no there's no difference. So we need to find a way for us to create a difference on the web page. You can see that we are on the about page. We also need a way to go back to the index page, so I think we should definitely have a new button here called home. Let's go back to the header, and on the navbar here, oh, that's not the navbar. This is actually another problem we're going to face now, is that we're going to create a new line of code. Well, it's a simple web page, doesn't really matter too much. We're going to call it home, and it's going to be an index file, and then copy paste that to the same place over at the about file. You can go back here and you can change home, about. That's really good. However, the problem is going to arise now if you get a lot of web documents like about, PHP, index PHP, you know, contact, tag board, and etc. And you have 50 of them with the same menu. This menu here is being repeated so many times that every time you're gonna do one edit, you're basically gonna have to do the same edit so many times, which is not practical. So eventually, when the web page is being bigger, you're gonna create a new solution and make this as an include as well, so you only have to edit it one time. What you basically make as include files is the files are gonna be changed over time, and this is how you basically do it. But we are running a no framework here. We're not doing any complicated stuff. We're just doing a simple web page, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. Okay, so we're also going to create a file now called contact.php. So let's go ahead and copy paste this. Inside here, new file, a few letters, and then contact.php. We're going to fill it out with this, and then we're going to create tagboard.php. So create this and a few letters, and then tagboard.php, and paste the same in again. Now we can go ahead and go back to the web page, and we should be able to I misspelled that. It's tabboard. Alright, so it's rename and tagboard. Go back to the page, update, verify that all the links work, and we have a web page with a drop down menu, and we can change everything. Now we need to see that we're on different pages. So what we do now is the two columns here, we're going to use those for something, and basically the navbar itself is also a link that really doesn't anything. This small, you know, black triangular thing it's gonna pop up sometimes. It's something that's in Edge. You know, I don't really like Edge, but it's the editor we use at the moment. So we are on the index file, and we could write here, welcome to the web page. I actually think we should have that written here, so let's do that instead and say welcome to the web page, and then here we should say like a p tag, that's a paragraph, so that's basically it. Oops, too much. And inside the paragraph we're gonna write something like this web page is awesome. There we go. And then we can basically see that, okay, so we are, you know, at the web page, we can change pages. Now we can see it different on the index page. You can do that in the other pages. You know, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. We also need to do some input stuff. So let's go to the more interesting part, which is the tag board now. The tag board should have a it should be like on the tag board this yeah, it's reversed, it's really weird, but in the second one, let's just write here, you can share your input of the day. And the input of the day should be inputted right here. So we're gonna create a PHP tag and make sure we're ready to do some dynamic stuff and input that directly to the web page. So for now, just echo something out and say nothing new to show. All right, and then go back here and see that now we have the navbar here on the tag board, and basically we need to do some HTML formula here that can take some input on the tag board. So let's go back to Bootstrap and say we could do some content layout where we have forms. There we go, forms. We just do some input stuff. So we can do very advanced forms. We need a very simple one. Yeah, you can see all these kind of things. This is Bootstrap. You know, you can create. I don't think we need all this. So just a basic form. Very basic form. Overview. Yeah, I think this is actually good enough. Let's just take it and go back to the page and say we are on the tag board page, and we're gonna put it right there. All right, so let's go back and see how that looks like on the web page, and it looks like, you know, anything basically, and I would like to say that, check me out. I'm gonna remove that. Yeah, so of course we need to know a few things about input and stuff in order to, you know, make this work, but it will not be too advanced. All right, so what we're gonna do now is basically make a way for us to write something and then submit it. It's a password field. Okay, so let me just see what I can do here. It's a password field. I think basically we don't need the password field, just need one field, which is this. So we're gonna write something and paste it, and okay, so it got some email validation. It's a type. Let's just type the text, and the input, we should probably just say text input 1 and say text input 1, and maybe in the front just say ID. I'm not really gonna use this, and not gonna use this anyways, and yeah, I don't think we need this either, so let's just remove this. Let's go back. It's an email address. I said message of the day. Go back and write something and post it, and we can see that it generates a small question mark here. So let's go back, write something, and generates a small question mark, which is good. Basically means that it posted the thing, and the form needs to be like, need to have an action and a method, and the message should be a post. We can like capitalize it like that, and the action should be sent to, let's just say it's sent to itself, like tagboard PHP. So whenever we do that, we can actually catch it and just, you know, output it, so we can do it right here. We could actually just say that like the message is from the underscore post, and the post is, because of the post method, it is called we need to give this input a name, so we'll just call it message of the day, not the that, but the day. I'm gonna take this here and put it in, and then we can echo out the message just like that. So let's basically see that we create this, and it's gonna put it there, and we can like test, and you can see that it actually outputs it. Now when you just update the web page, it's gonna generate an error. Let's see if we can get it to generate the error again. There we go. And the error is basically saying undefined index, message of the day, which is basically a way for PHP to tell you that you're trying to output a variable that is not set or anything. So what we could do is put a an @ sign in front here just to verify, and then basically it's telling that this is only being used if so it exists. Alright, so but that is not the best way to do it. It is a sneaky way. What I would probably say is a better way is to wrap this in a conditional statement like this, and say if this is present, and if just say if isset, so isset is a function that's gonna test if it's set, and if the message itself, this basically means that if the variable is set, it doesn't ask if it's if it contains any value or anything. Just say, does the variable called message of the day exist? Like, yeah, no. If it does, then we actually continue to the next part here, which is actually evaluating if it got any content, so more than nothing. So basically, I'm gonna put this in here, go back, and then we can update as many times as we want. It shouldn't generate any errors, and we are home safe, and we can write something incredibly stupid there, and it's going to be outputted. Alright, so this is the way that you can do that. Now the problem now is that we have some input stuff going on, and we need to validate our input. I could write anything here like h1, and then basically say, oh, this is HTML injection. And then you see that it is being projected as HTML. I can also write JavaScript. I can just do this. And then I can write stuff like alert and do something crazy. And then I get an alert box. You know, I can execute any kind of stuff. We need to make sure this is not happening. So what you're really going to do is make sure that the variable message that you're outputting, this is where you're outputting it. It is line 13. So you should do HTML entities and wrap that around, so anything is being outputted here is entitied out, so it's not going to be executed. Let's try our h1 again. This time you can see it just being shown. Our JavaScript, it is also just being shown. So now we actually mitigated one of the easiest problems to forget when you're a programmer. It's called injection issues. You're not validating your data. Okay, so really, I'm not validating, I'm sanitizing it, sorry. So basically, this is the easiest and first step in security when you're doing web page development with PHP. Now that we did this, what we could do is just make a very easy way for us to save the text that we do get. We send to the backend. So there is a way for us to say, if what we're gonna do is save the message of the day to a file and show all content in the file containing message of the day. So this is the way we're gonna do it. What I'm gonna do now is basically say all the stuff. I think there is a command called file put content, and the very first one is the file name. So let's say message of the day.txt, and the data is gonna be message, just like that. And we're gonna end it. And what we're gonna do here is you take all the all the content from this file here. So we're gonna create a variable, call it message of the day, file get content, and it's gonna be message of the day dot text. And we're gonna do here exactly the same, just HTML entity it out. So now we should be able to let me just refresh this web page totally, and we have nothing here. I'm gonna try and refresh the web page a few times, and we do not see any message of the day file being contained as created. I'm gonna try a test, and now we see the message of the day file being created, and the very first message is test. So we can go back here and say hello, submit it, and basically it's gonna show what I just pasted. So what we see here is that I actually do not append to the file. I keep just writing new stuff to the file, which is file put content. And what we could do is go to php.net, the official web page of PHP, go to file put content and say, like, is there a way for us to do append? So let's just search for append. There's a way for us. It's gonna do something like if the file does not exist, the file is created, otherwise the existing file is overwritten unless the file append flag is set. So what we could do is put the flag file append. Let's see if this works. There. Let's see if that works. Go back to the page, refresh it, and test 1, 2, 3. And it seems like it works in some way, because now we're having our text saved to the file right here, which is a little clumsy because it's not on individual lines and anything. Let's delete all this text here. Basically refresh the page and say, like, okay, so now we have an empty file. What we're gonna do is, whenever we save the text to the file, we're gonna make sure to append some sort of new line. So we could probably say dot as a like that. Whoops, that's a new line, and say, would that really do it for us? So let's go ahead and refresh and say tests 1, 2, 3 and ABC, and it seems like something happened, but it's not being shown as new line stuff. So the new lines are there, but on the web page it is not. So we should think more like HTML again. So we're saving HTML, and you want to make sure that the new lines is shown. So this is a problem. What we could do is allow the break sign, but I think that's a really bad idea. What we probably should think about here is, instead of appending this, we could say that we appended something like this. That's a different kind of break. It's something called, in the old days, called BB code or something like that. So you can search and replace the file for that. So whenever you are showing, I think you can do something like day as a string replace like this, and you're gonna search for this BR, and you're gonna replace it with an actual break, and the subject you're gonna search for is month of the day, just like that. And basically this is how we're gonna replace it, and then it should be shown correctly. So let's delete all this, go back to there and the page and update it and say tests hello and everything. Now what you see here is, now we have the break sign, and this is because we are running HTML entities on it, so it's not really gonna work for us because we are actually just sanitizing. So we should make up our mind here. How can we allow the break sign without actually destroying the application and opening up for injections again and having some insecurities? Well, this is actually a problem. So what we could do is, can we tell HTML entities to ignore something? So I don't think we can. Let's see, replace invalid silently ignore. No. So this is not really working. What we could do is like say PHP ignore HTML. Can we actually encode HTML but ignore HTML tags? It would seem that it seems like you're more versioning code combat. I don't think this is the way to go. I've wanted to ignore one of them. Yes, this is actually a problem. So what we could do is let me see. We're doing HTML entities on this. If we don't do HTML entities, we are having a web page which is functional the way we want it, but we can do, you know, stuff like that. So every time we visit the page, it's gonna generate this error because we have scripts saved. You can see here right there. So that's not gonna work. So I think we're gonna just go into the think tank just for a second and say this is the functional code. And I know programmers gonna look at it and say, but is it a problem? Is it not? Well, it's a problem if you can get rendered, you know, if you can render HTML and stuff like that. What you could do is basically just say you can do all this and then this is a tricky one, but you could do HTML entities first on this. So basically you're gonna save this there, and then you can replace. Let me just show you what I'm thinking about. And then you can say that you're gonna look for let me just see if I can generate something to look for. Let me just echo it out. So we're gonna show you like this, and then we're gonna outcomment this here. So what we're gonna do is basically update the page and write test, and then do some view source. I think we can see the problem. No, we cannot see the problem. Interesting. Let's see. What we do is yeah, we're not replacing it, so let's replace it. Yeah. What's the issue here? This is being months of the day, string replace, semicolon. Let's go there, and then we can see that what we're getting is we're getting this here. So we're getting the and lower than break. So we could look for this instead. So this is a bit more, you know, complicated, but we could go in and say look for this, replace with that, and then basically replace it after we HTML entitied it. So we're gonna do some extra stuff. I'm not saying this is a good way of doing it, but it's definitely a workaround. So let's do test ABC, and whoa. So we actually, let me see, we're forgetting something here. So we're having the month of the day, we save the stuff, we append this to it, then we get it, we HTML entity it, but that we, let's just basically save this one here as a break sign, and let's then update it and do. So now we have, so we can do all the things we like to do. All the scripts are going to be short on a line, and everything is perfect. We cannot do anything to manipulate this. It's a bit more tricky, you know. Let me just clear this. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this because it's prone to be bugged at some point, but or maybe forget something. But this is one way of just creating something easy that you including something, but you are at least everything is being HTML entities before you output it, and you only replace the original break sign that you HTML entity out. This is an actual replacement, and you look for this exactly here. So there's no other way of, you know, getting stuff in. This is one way of doing it. Now that we created all this, you have a beautiful web page where you can create your small tag and say, oh, this is a good day. And then you can see this, and you can go back and forth to tag board, and it's not showing, and this is something we should fix. So when we are posting, it's being reloaded. Otherwise, if it's not being posted, everything is just being loaded from the file, just like that. And basically, I think we should go back now to home, and then we can see that it's being loaded. And when we write something new, like something new today, it's being posted again, and we're gonna go back to back and front, and you can see stuff being posted. So now you can do stuff easily on a text file basis. What you need to do is actually handling your stuff in your text file. How much data you're gonna get there, and you know, it's gonna be, you can actually brute force this. And this is another thing we can, when I say brute force, I mean you can post so much data into this file that it's gonna basically get too big, and then, you know, it's gonna crash at some point, the server. So you need to, of course, create some sort of, you know, controls on your input, or how many times from the same IP, and so on and so on. But this is again a whole new level, you know, that we're not gonna go into. I just basically wanted to show you how to get started with PHP, how to get started with HTML, how to get started with Bootstrap, how to get started with designing, how to get started with creating a simple web page. This is the way to go, and I really hope that you can use this video for something. I'm not really gonna dig in to do more stuff on development of PHP websites and stuff like that at the moment. It's just something I'm doing to, you know, try and get your fingers around the idea of you're gonna think about what you're gonna do. Just one wrong line can compromise your whole web page, and this is basically just what this video is about. I really hope you liked it and you learned something new, and if you did so, please consider subscribing to my channel. Leave a comment below for any kind of videos and stuff you would like to see in the future. So have a nice day, and bye bye.